Hello, magic casters of all shapes and sizes. My name is Chance. Welcome to my Spellbook, and thank you so much for tuning into the 71st episode of our second level spell series. Today we're going to be taking a look at quite arguably the most overpowered second level spell in the game, depending on kind of how you go about ruling it. Maybe with the exception of Phantasmal Force, but that is to be taken on a case-by-case basis. Today we're looking at Spike Growth, which sounds relatively unassuming. It is usable by the Druid and the Ranger, which is how you know it's going to be great. Druid and Ranger have access to some of the most flavorful spells in the game, and it is found in the good old Player's Handbook. Now, without further ado, let's actually take a look at these mechanics and break down exactly how the spell works. So get this, the damage is 2d4 per 5 feet of movement while within the spell's area of effect. That's pretty nuts. The effect at a glance is as followed. Create an area of thorns that deals damage and becomes difficult terrain. A creature can make a perception check to spot the disguised terrain. Your cast time is 1 action, the range is an insane 150 feet, and the radius is a more than impressive 20 feet. The duration is 10 minutes, and sadly it is concentration, but all things considered it's great. The components are the Holy Trinity, so somatic, material, and verbal. If you're curious about that material component, it is 7 sharp thorns, or 7 small twigs, each sharpened to a point. And the school is Transmutation, and the damage type is Piercing, which is technically considered magical, by the way, just so everyone's on the same page about that. Now, let's take a quick moment here and look at the full description and better flesh out this spell. The ground in a 20-foot radius centered on a point within a range twists and sprouts hard spikes and thorns. The area becomes difficult terrain for the duration. When a creature moves into or within the area, it takes 2d4 piercing damage for every 5 feet it travels. The transformation on the ground is camouflaged to look natural. Any creature that can't see the area at the time the spell is cast must make a perception check against your spell save DC to recognize the terrain as hazardous before entering it. Needless to say, super incredible. So if a person were to essentially just dead sprint through the whole 20 feet, or the whole 20-foot radius rather, you'd be looking at 8 die for piercing damage, which is pretty incredible. There is an argument to be made for whether or not forced movement procs this effect. I personally would rule against it, not so much because of anything the wording seems to imply, but more so because typically it doesn't. Also, it would make the spell way too overpowered if it did. For example, you could just use a cantrip like something like Infestation and just cause the person to run around in there and potentially just kill them that way. However, logically, it does make sense that it would inflict damage. So, I don't know, ask your DM about it, see what they think. One of the best things about this spell is it is camouflaged, which makes it an ideal trap. And to be honest, perception checks are kind of weird because there's an argument to be made that a person wouldn't always be actively perceiving everything. So as long as your spell save DC was above their passive perception, I would think that it would go fairly unnoticed for the most part. In any case, let's take a quick look at some alternative uses here and see exactly what we can come up with. So I think one of the best ways to use this is to be used to take down multiple enemies. Especially at early levels, the spell is quite frankly just overpowered and underrated. You could essentially wipe out a whole horde of goblins with this with relatively little problem. Another great way to use this is casting it on an enemy's kind of camp before you raid it. This is probably best done at night when they're all going to be sleeping in their tents or huts or what have you, and then as soon as they run out, they take immense damage. I think that's pretty cool. Also, if you want to use it as a trap in some sort of maze, labyrinth, or something else like that, maybe even a pit trap, this would be a great way to use it as well. That being said, if you have any alternative uses, ideas, thoughts, comments, concerns, please put it down beneath in the comments section. And if you like that cool hand-drawn picture of Sips and you'd like your own hand-drawn D&D picture, please check out the guild hall to figure out exactly how to do that. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you all have a great day, and as always, happy casting.